Hello friends, today we're going to listen to the third chapter of the series, and the chapter starts with our protagonist, Joe Y., standing in the compound of his house. He was thinking, after their last failed attempt to become rich, what should be their next move. He thought about how easy it is for protagonists in transmigration novels. They settle everything with lightning speed using their cheats. But the real question for him is, what should he do? He wondered, maybe he could invent electricity, but he doesn't know how to do that. Maybe a steam engine, but they don't even have railroads here, and starting that business would take both time and money. He also thought of making a gun, but he doesn't know how to make one. He only ever held a gun once in his past life, and knows nothing about its mechanics. While he was thinking this, his sister rushed in and asked if they have water. Maybe she wanted to wash her hair, and since they have to fetch water from a nearby source, it becomes extra work for our protagonist. So he shrugged her off and said, "Don't wash your hair." But his sister replied that he told her the same thing yesterday. So he changed his answer and said, "Then wash it the day after tomorrow." His sister shouted, "What kind of brother says that?" instead of going to fetch water for her. The protagonist replied that it takes 2 hours to bring water and return. So he's not willing to go. If she wants it so badly, maybe she can go herself. While they were arguing, their older brother came out of the house into the compound, saying, "What a refreshing morning," and asked both siblings if they slept well. Then he began doing his so-called martial arts training. First shout, "Hi-ya-ya." Second shout, "Hui-ya." Seeing this, our protagonist thought, does his brother have no brain at all? Their family is falling apart, shouldn't he at least pretend to be worried? Instead he's doing random antics. As the brother continued, the sister ran to him and said, "Big brother, don't you think second brother has changed all of a sudden?" The brother asked, "How?" She replied, "How brother Y gathered all the materials for the toothbrush, calculated everything precisely, and made them faster than finishing a sip of tea." It was her first time seeing someone calculate so fast. Their brother agreed. He said he was shocked too. It felt like our protagonist was some professional merchant. Then he asked our protagonist if he had suddenly started studying arithmetic books. The protagonist thought to himself that they were amazed by simple multiplication, something every modern-day kid knows. And then, an idea sparked in his mind. People in this era don't know simple things like multiplication. They consider basic arithmetic a rare skill. Meanwhile, his brother and sister were talking about his sharp tongue. About how he suddenly uses difficult words they can't understand. Well, he's a modern person, so of course he talks like that. The protagonist thought, indeed they'll find things difficult. This era hasn't even moved past ancient scripts, while he comes from a future where all this is normal. He studied for 20 years, from elementary school to civil service exams. He carried endless information in his smartphone. He even gained insight into human psychology from dramas and movies, and yet, his sister summarized all that with one line, "He's suddenly good at talking." Our protagonist concluded that compared to the people of this era, he really is a genius. So maybe this is his power. With that thought, he pushed his sister gently aside, sat down in the dirt, and began writing with a stick all the things this era lacks. He stated that this era lacks not only technology and products, but also religion, philosophy, and economics. His siblings watched, shocked, as he drew unknown symbols on the ground with a serious expression. Meanwhile, he continued shortlisting ideas that were advanced, but still possible in this era. Eventually, he reached a conclusion, economics. He listed things like the wealth of nations, microeconomics, division of labor, contract theory, utility maximization, efficiency wage theory, zero-sum game, supply and demand, behavioral economics, and he believed that with these concepts, he could achieve the results he wanted and become the richest man in the Murim world. With this new plan, he went to his father. He said something. And his father replied, confused, "What did you just say?" The protagonist answered firmly, "Pass down the Joe clan workshop to me." His father replied, "What nonsense have you been spouting since morning?" The protagonist said he had an idea and wanted to make it happen. But his father refused. He said the workshop isn't something one can operate easily. And if he, the protagonist, wants to run it, then it's impossible. He has no experience, and doesn't even have the soul of a craftsman. Hearing this, the protagonist asked, "How many more silvers can we borrow?" His father was shocked. He asked if his son really wanted to borrow more money in their situation. Father added that their limbs were going to be cut off in 10 days, and yet the protagonist still wanted to borrow money. He shouted, "You bastard!" The protagonist calmly replied, "That anvil you're using is worth about 50 silvers, right? And if they combine all the tools here, that's another 30 silvers. Plus, with his father's long-standing credibility as a blacksmith, they could use all this as collateral and easily secure 300 silvers." His father grew furious. His face tightened, like he was about to explode. But the protagonist continued, saying, "I don't care about high interest rates. We'll make back 3 times the investment easily." His father was shocked. He thought, first he asks for the workshop, then he immediately uses the anvil as collateral. The father's veins bulged as he gripped his hammer tightly. He thought, what is this brat planning? He's talking about using the hammer and anvil as collateral, what next? His mother and sister. Furious at his son's ridiculous ideas, he prepared to strike him. Seeing this, the protagonist said his father should have borrowed money properly. Why a loan shark? Why not a merchant? He heard that the dragon merchant group is friendly toward others, so why didn't his father approach them? He asked, "Did you not even think of going to them once?" His father raised the hammer over his head and shouted, "So what if I didn't, bastard?" Yet the protagonist simply smiled, without fear. Seeing this boldness, his father wondered, when did his son become so brave? He didn't seem like the old Y anymore. Maybe, after he recovered from illness, he truly had a grand plan, just like the toothbrush idea. Slowly, the father calmed down, sat beside him, and sighed. He said, "Fine. I get it. This isn't something someone who cherishes his sister to death would say without thinking." He was referring to the time the protagonist took a spear through his gut to save his sister. So the father finally asked, "Do you really have a plan?" The protagonist answered firmly, he wants to make their workshop the best in the entire Anhui region. He declared that they would establish the Zhou clan's Iron Kingdom in Anhui province. The father repeated, shocked, "Iron Kingdom?" Then asked, "Does Y even understand their current situation?" The protagonist replied, "If iron ore is the problem, they can simply buy iron ingots." The father was confused and asked if he even knew how much those cost. Ingots are refined masses of iron left after removing impurities. The protagonist confidently said, based on the current average value, around 3 silvers. The father became angry again. "You know this, and you're still saying all that nonsense." The protagonist explained that the iron plow is their best-selling item, farmers need it. It's their signature tool. The father was startled again, another strange word, signature. Must have, new vocabulary for him. The protagonist continued, "Let's make the iron plow our flagship product. Produce it, and sell it at 30% below the market price." The father shouted, 30%? You're saying we sell a 40-coin plow for 28? Impossible. He added that making one plow takes half a month. The protagonist explained that the 15 days include steel extraction. If they start using ingots, the whole process can be done in 7 days. And with his methods, 4 days. The father yelled, 4 days? I'll break my body working nonstop for 4 days, only to sell it for a cheap price. Even a lumberjack earns 10 coins a day, 40 coins for 4 days. The protagonist sighed and asked, "Who said you'll be working alone?" His father froze. "What?" The protagonist asked, "Does any place in the entire Anhui province sell plows for 28 coins? If word spreads, people will swarm to buy. Even second-hand plows don't cost that little. And if they can produce 30 plows a day." His father asked again if he was sane. He replied, completely. He stood up and told his father they would start by hiring 20 workers. The father's job would be to train them. The father asked, "Train them?" The protagonist began explaining. Charcoal burners, 2 people per unit, 6-hour shifts, 2 shifts a day, total 4 workers. Stokers, hard job despite appearances. 2 per shift, 2 shifts, total 4 workers. And they would need supervision, so father would oversee them. Then the forgers, toughest job. 1 anvil means 4 people per unit, 5-hour shifts, 2 shifts, 8 forgers in total. He also requested that father train molders, 2 people per unit, 2 units, 4 molders. And the protagonist himself would handle sales and promotion. The father slowly began to see the potential. The protagonist explained wages next. Charcoal burners, 6 iron coins. Stokers, 8 coins. Forgers, 12 coins. Molders, 11 coins. With such wages, workers would flock to them. Total daily wages, 208 iron coins, nearly 2 silvers. The father counted on his fingers in disbelief. The protagonist continued, at the start, they could produce at least 20 plows a day. That's 4 silvers earned daily. After paying workers, they would still keep 2 silvers. In a month, 60 silvers. And this was only the beginning. Eventually, he said they would expand 20-fold, earning 12 gold coins a month. The father was mesmerized, speechless at the potential. The protagonist thought, why shouldn't he be? Watching Apple product launches all night in the modern world really paid off here. But the father also thought about craftsmanship. A craftsman breathes life into iron, and here, his son was suggesting mass production instead. It went against everything he believed in. But still, 60 silvers a month was too tempting. The protagonist noticed his father's hesitation and added, if one person learns the whole process, it'll take years. But what if father let go of the traditional idea of craftsmanship? The father paused, thinking. The protagonist sounded convincing. He finally asked, are you truly confident? The protagonist smirked. And with that, our 3rd chapter ends. Friends, I know you're enjoying this series, but please make sure to subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you these chapters in a polished and engaging way. This is a new channel, and many more manhwa and manga stories are coming soon, so stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe.